Hi everyone. Alright, I'm gonna post this comment and pin it so that anyone who joins the live stream knows what we're talking about. Let me know where you're watching this live stream from. Hello Paul, thanks for joining. Hi Laura, hope you're good. Okay. Okay. So we've got people from Texas, Brazil, Australia, Sydney, New York, Mexico, England, Brazil. What's going on here? Spain. Lots of people from South America as always. Melbourne. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with my page. I'm gonna try again. Okay, cool. So we've got people from Jordan, Brazil, Ecuador, Italy, someone said I didn't know people from South America were vegan. Of course, people anyway can be vegan. Love your new hair, by the way. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, I like it too. Nice change. All right, we've got people from UAE. Cool. So this is just a hangout and Q&A. So I'm ready to just take questions from anyone who might have any questions about veganism, about activism. If you have any questions in particular about AV, Cube of Truth, or outreach, we can start taking questions now. You are an inspiration, Asal. Thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. So for anyone that has recently followed our Instagram page and they don't know what we do and who we are, I did drop a comment, but we are an animal rights organization who focuses on street activism. Our main campaign is called Cube of Truth, which is where we form a cube with our volunteers wearing the Guy Fawkes mask, and we hold laptops or TV screens. We show footage from meat, dairy, and egg industries. So we show people what happens to the animals that are killed for food, and as well as other industries that kill and abuse animals. And we have conversations with the public about veganism, and that's basically what we do. So again, this is just a Q&A. If you have any questions about veganism or animal rights activism, just let me know. You can use the question button on Instagram, or you can just drop your question in the comment section, and I'll try to respond to as many questions as I can. But before we get into the questions, I'm curious to know if anyone's already doing cubes. Obviously, most chapters were inactive during the lockdown for the coronavirus, but I know some chapters are operating now, and I'm curious to know how many of you are already attending cubes, whether you're an organizer or a volunteer. Let me know if you're already back on the streets. I'm gonna try and fix my tripod because it's a bit crooked. No, that's better. Much better. I have done some cubes in Kingston. You mean like recently? You guys are back on the streets in Canada? Are you allowed to hold demonstrations? Had a cube over the weekend. Cool. Where did you attend the cube, Vegan Shama? I'm just wondering which chapters are already operating. I know that we have had cubes operating in Perth, Australia, but other cities like Melbourne, which is where I am, we're still not allowed to have any public gatherings. Your hair is very nice. I'm yet to start dyeing it, but do need to start. What are vegan friendly dyes? I'm in Melbourne. Irene, I don't color my own hair, but if you message me, I can send you some hair salons that are fully vegan in Melbourne, depending on where you are. And there are some vegan hair dyes that you can buy from like vegan friendly supermarkets if you want to do it at home, or you can buy, there are hair colors that you can buy online, like Lime Crime is fully vegan, Manic Panic is fully vegan, but they all do like crazy colors. So if you want like the regular hair colors, I'm not too sure about the brands, but yeah, you should be able to find them on Google. But if you're looking for a hair salon, definitely message me and I can send some to you. I live in the province where the vegan activist was run over by the truck driver. We did just one before the COVID lockdown, and I did one last fall as well. Yeah, that was tragic what happened. Yeah, so you did one before the lockdown, so yeah, that's why I'm wondering if you guys are starting the cubes again in Canada. I don't think you're allowed to have public gatherings, but I could be wrong. Maybe every city is different. Arctic Fox is an amazing brand for hair color, and it's affordable. There you go. Okay, need to fix this again. Alright, I'm gonna take some questions on Instagram. What is a cube? I already explained that. Okay, this is interesting. Someone said, Sorry, this isn't a question, but I am not a vegan, but I would love to hear or see why I should be. If you haven't ever seen footage from meat, dairy, and egg industries, I highly recommend that you go and look up Dominion. It's a documentary that shows exactly what happens to all animals in different industries. That would be the best way of educating yourself. But if I want to just quickly explain to you why you need to be vegan, the reason is that animals do deserve to live freely. They're supposed to have their freedom just like us. There is literally no way that you can justify using, abusing, exploiting, torturing, and killing animals. There is no need for you to continue doing that. And even in the best case scenario, even if you go and visit like a family run farm or free range, RSPCA approved, organic, all of that, you will learn that these animals are still being treated like property, like objects, and they're only bred into existence so that humans can continue to rape them, torture them, and use them, and then kill them and eat their flesh or what comes out of their bodies. Same with animals that are killed for other things such as leather, wool. So veganism goes obviously beyond a diet. It's not just what you eat, it's also what you purchase in terms of clothing, products that can have animal ingredients in them, or they could be tested on animals. So animal testing is another big thing. You may not be aware that all pharmaceutical drugs are tested on animals, as well as a lot of the makeup brands, beauty products, cleaning products. Also, there are many products that you would be buying from the supermarket that has animal ingredients in them, additives that come from an animal, like a lot of the preservatives, the colorings that are used commonly, they all come from animal sources. So you just need to do lots of research to make sure that you are not supporting any of those industries by buying their products. So every time that you go to the supermarket, you can go and find a vegan alternative for what you're normally buying. And for the first couple of weeks, you might need to just do your research, check the labels to make sure that you're not supporting anything that came from an animal. But yeah, basically that's it. We have no right to abuse these innocent beings, and that's why we go vegan. So veganism is a stance that you take against this injustice, and you try to avoid animal exploitation as much as is possible and practicable for you. So there might be a time where you are really sick and you do need to take medication, for example, and you might be able to justify that. But other than that, like I said, there is no justification for continuing to support these industries. But again, I highly recommend that you go, and you can go on our website, cubeoftruth.com, and we have recommendations for what documentaries you can watch. There are speeches that you can listen to, and yeah, you just need to educate yourself. Are there any biscuits that are vegan? I heard ginger snaps, but they have sugar. We're still in lockdown. I see. Yeah, I guess most countries are still in full lockdown. Yeah, there are tons of vegan biscuits. You just need to. I'm not sure where you're from, Paul, but you can just look it up online again. There are apps that you can purchase that allows you to scan every product, and then it will just tell you if it's vegan or not. A really good app that I recommend, if it's available in your area, is Fussy Vegan. It's not free. You have to pay about $10 for it, but you pay for it once and you can use it for food items, cleaning products, makeup, even alcohol. So it's a really good app, Fussy Vegan. I recommend that you use that one. But there are tons of vegan biscuits and snacks at Coles and Woolworths if you're in Melbourne. So you just need to do a bit of research. Sometimes I just go into the supermarket and I just grab products that seem like they could be vegan, and I just quickly read the ingredients. But now that I have the app, it makes it so much easier. Okay, another question. Okay, another question. What kind of vitamin do you take as a vegan? So I think many people, non-vegans, believe that when you go vegan, you need to be taking lots of vitamins and supplements, but that's actually not true. So as long as you're eating a balanced diet, you might not even need to take any vitamins. The only thing that most vegans do take is B12, which is also taken by non-vegan, so it's not necessarily a vegan thing. And also, non-vegans who take other supplements such as iron supplements or vitamin D, etc. Depending on where you live, what your diet is like, you may not need to be taking any supplements. And the thing is, even if you were to take some supplements such as B12, you need to think about how all these animals that humans consume are injected with vitamins such as B12. So it's easier to just go to the pharmacy directly and buy whatever supplement you're taking and just directly take it. Either get an injection or take a tablet or a spray. And again, like I said, many non-vegans do take these vitamins and supplements as well. So it's not just for vegans. But in general, to my knowledge, most vegans, the only thing they take is B12, and some will take vitamin D. Again, that goes for non-vegans as well, because in many places, especially during winter, if you don't get enough sunlight, you might be low in vitamin D, but that's it. And the rest is just up to you. If you feel like you want to get a boost of whatever vitamins, then you can do that. And all of these supplements and vitamins can be made vegan. So if you decide that you want to take something, just make sure that you go and get the vegan version of it. So the most common stuff that you can find at the pharmacy are usually tested on animals or might have some ingredients that comes from an animal. But if you look it up online, there are many brands that do vitamin D, B12, iron, all of these supplements vegan, fully vegan. So make sure you take those if you choose to go on a supplement. All right, next question. so many irrelevant questions. I have to scroll through them to find a good question. Okay, Joey said, I live in a small city with no vegan activism. How do I start a group? If you'd like to start an AV chapter, you can just email us. The email is join, JOIN, at anonymousforthevoiceless.org. Even if you're in a small city and you don't know many vegans, you can still start a chapter and you can do cubes. Obviously that's what we do, so that would be my recommendation. There might be other ways that you can get active as well, but with the cubes, the good thing is you can even do it with one other person, so they can hold the laptop and then you would be doing outreach and then you can swap. So you don't necessarily have to have lots of volunteers to start with, especially if you don't know any vegans. As long as you have one other person to do it with you, then you can just start doing them. They don't cost anything. You just bring your laptop, buy a couple of masks, you can order the cards, get a sign if you like, and that's it. And you can set up your cube at a public space where there is good foot traffic, so people will stop and have a conversation with you. And I think that'll be a good way to start. And once you start doing it and you start turning people vegan, then you will have more volunteers to join your group as well. Someone said, are there medication without animal abuse? Because I think there isn't. Yeah, as I was saying before, I'm pretty sure all of the pharmaceutical drugs that you buy from the pharmacy, like painkillers, antibiotics, those kind of medications are tested on animals. Everywhere in the world, I think that's the law. They have to be tested. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think at least 99% of them are not vegan. So that's why I always recommend that you go and find a vegan alternative. So for example, if you're looking for painkillers, see if there are like alternatives where you can I don't know, find something on a website online that is certified vegan, or if you've got like an organic store where you live where they stock a lot of vegan products. Sometimes they have medications or vitamins and alternatives that are completely vegan, so you can go and try those out. And if you really need to take a certain medication because it's affecting your life, then obviously you would have to make that exception. My chapter is starting again in a week and a half in the USA. Which chapter is that? Okay, next question. How do you slowly transition into vegan, and how do you make up for the nutrients you don't get from meat? Okay, so veganism, as I said earlier, is a stance you take against an injustice, the injustice that the animals are faced with. So when you think about other forms of injustices like racism and sexism and other forms of discrimination and oppression, you wouldn't need to transition from being a racist into a non-racist. So you wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to take small steps in the next 6 months, and then I'll go from being a racist to half racist, and then slowly I'll become a non-racist. That's not how it works. So as soon as you're convinced that animal cruelty is wrong and you don't want to be a part of it, then you just go from non-vegan to vegan. And in terms of your body adjusting, needing nutrients and things like that, that's just a myth. It's not true. You don't need to actually transition. Nothing bad is going to happen to your body. It's not like your body is suddenly going to go into shock. So you could be a non-vegan today and you can decide from right now, okay, I won't be consuming any of the animal products I have in the fridge. I'm just going to go shopping and I'll go vegan from today. And there is literally nothing that you're getting from meat or other animal products that you won't be able to get from a plant-based source. You just need to do your research to make sure that you're eating the right kind of food, the right amount of food. So as long as you're eating a balanced diet, then you'll be fine. You'll be feeling better than you ever did, as long as you're eating a healthy diet. So even with veganism, you could be eating junk foods, like vegan chocolate, vegan burgers, vegan cheese, all of that. And obviously you won't be as healthy. But again, veganism is not a diet and it's got nothing to do with our health or nutrition. It's all about fighting against this injustice, which is the longest injustice ever existed. And the only way you can take that stance is by going vegan. So as soon as you're convinced that that's the right thing to do, you just go vegan. No transitional period is necessary, and also it's not justified. You can't justify, like I said, you can't justify going from a racist to a non-racist within 6 months or a month even. If you open your eyes one day and you're like, oh, I've been an ignorant piece of shit my whole life, I've been a racist or I've been a sexist, what do? You just stop being a racist. And that's exactly what you do when it comes to the animals. Amanda, I just want to say I appreciate you staying on top of all the comments in the live streams, responding to all of them. I see you. Just wanted to say that. Northampton. Okay, so you guys are operating again in a week. That's awesome to hear. Montreal is also starting their cubes again this Saturday. That's awesome to hear. We'll need to limit the crowd to 50 Cubers outreaches and those being outreach. Well, 50 is plenty actually. So if you have like 10, 15 volunteers, including outreaches, and you've got maybe 20, 30 people around the cube, that's awesome. What's a good way to respond if someone asks if I like being vegan? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you just explain what you mean by I like being vegan? Okay, another question about starting a cube. Someone said, same here, there is no street activism in my city. Can I start? I'm 17, by the way. So yeah, as I explained before, you can just reach out to us. Join at anonymousbuttervoiceless.org. Send us an email and we'll help you get started if there are no cubes around you. And there is, the only thing is that there's no limit in terms of participating in a cube. There's no age limit. So even if you're 5 years old, you can stand in the cube and hold a little sign. But in terms of organizing, we just need our organizers to be over 18. So if you're 17, I just ask you that you wait until you're 18, and then as soon as you turn 18, reach out send us an email and you can start your cube. But until then, if you know any vegans that are over 18, maybe they can start the chapter and then you can become their co-organizer. Okay, if someone asks me if I enjoy being vegan, well, if someone asked me that, I would say yes. It's the best decision I've ever made to be vegan. My only regret is that I didn't go vegan earlier. I don't know how I was so ignorant to this injustice. I don't know how I was participating in animal cruelty for 26 years. That's when I went vegan. Yeah, so that's how I would respond to that. Yeah, I love being vegan. Veganism is the least that I can do for the animals. And then you can talk about how it's important for vegans to also become active in whatever way. But yeah, that's what I would say. I've never been asked that question, by the way. That's why I'm a bit like, what do you mean? I don't know, like they might mean that, like, do you feel good, like physically and mentally and emotionally? Do you feel good being vegan? Maybe that's what they mean, and then you can talk about that, obviously. But that would be my response. Paul said, what's the best advice for people who are fearful of what they see as a drastic change by going vegan? I think I kind of responded to that just before when somebody asked about like the transition and whether they need to take steps so that they can make sure they get nutrients. Because I think, I mean, maybe that's not what you mean, but usually if people are afraid of a drastic change, they're referring to their diet. So health-wise, they think, oh, like I don't want to damage my body. If that's their concern, then you can explain to them how this works. But if you mean in terms of like it's a huge change in their life, then you can explain to them how, yes, it is a drastic change, but it's a positive change. So exactly like if you were an ignorant racist for 20 years, 30 years, and then you opened your eyes to the reality, and then you decided to become a non-racist and even become an activist for human rights, for example, then you would see that as drastic change, but a positive one. And this is exactly how veganism works. Yes, it is a huge change in the right direction. If people don't know what to eat on a vegan diet, they can just literally go on Google and look it up. I mean, we don't need to be holding their hands like little babies. So most people do have access to the internet now, even on their phones, so they can just go online and look things up. Sure, we can give them some information, but we're not going to be, available to people 24 hours. So all you need to say to them is just do your research. Go on Google and look up vegan recipes. It's not that hard to find recipes and to know what kind of food you need to be eating or what you need to be avoiding. Again, like we just need to talk to people not like little children. It's not like they need us to hold their hands. A lot of us, including myself, when I decided to go vegan, I didn't have anybody around me that was vegan. All I did was doing research online. And yeah, maybe you make a mistake a few times. You buy a product, you think it's vegan, you realize that it had some ingredient in it that wasn't vegan, for example. But it's that person's responsibility to do their research and to get the right information. It's not necessarily our job as activists to just constantly giving them information and wanting to make sure that they stay on track. If somebody is convinced that they want to be vegan, they will find a way. Melbourne at the moment are doing a cube on July 18th. Will you and Paul be attending? I didn't even know that, to be honest. I haven't seen the Facebook event yet. So yeah, of course, 18th of July will be there. I'm so excited. That's only a few weeks away. Yes, we'll definitely be there. I can't wait to do outreach. All right, another question. Someone said, were you born vegan or were you developing it? Sorry if you already answered. No, I wasn't born vegan. I was eating and using animal products for 26 years. And until I learned about these industries and I realized that I was literally supporting animal cruelty, and that's when I went vegan. I don't know many people that were born vegan. I'm sure there are some, but for the majority of vegans that I know, at some point in their life, whether they were 15 or 50, they made that connection and they stopped supporting these industries. Stacy said, I started going vegan over 15 years ago in the middle of nowhere. If you want to do the right thing, you will figure it out. It's so much easier nowadays. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. Like, if you want to do it, even if you only have access to like rice and beans and potatoes and fruit, you'll still do it because you know it's the right thing to do. So I don't really like babying people when it comes to activism. Someone said, how do I pursue vegan activism as a 15-year-old? A lot is limited due to my age for safety, and I can't see the rest. But so when it comes to the cube, I'm not sure where you're commenting from, but you can go on our website, cubeoftruth.com. You can see all the chapters that we have and find out if there is a cube nearby so you can attend. That would be my first suggestion. So if there are cubes operating and it's in a city that you can get to, if it's not too far, then you can attend the cube. So regardless of your age, like I said, we don't have any age limit for our volunteers. They can participate in the cube. As a 15-year-old, you can do cube. And then after a few events, if you feel comfortable, you can start doing outreach as well. Other than that, I recommend that you just do activism online. That's the safest form of activism, I think. You don't need to leave your house. You don't need any equipment necessarily, and especially during this time where everyone's in lockdown, it's the perfect opportunity to get active online. So just use your social media platforms to spread the message. We're all born vegan. We are conditioned to consume animal products. Yeah, you're right, of course. Yeah, if we weren't conditioned, which is what happens with those that are born vegan and then they continue. Yeah, that makes sense. When I went vegan, I became an activist. Yeah, me too. Almost immediately, I started participating in protests and I was doing activism online. Laura said it's called Google. They can definitely figure it out. Yeah. Yes, nobody held my hand. I did it all by myself after learning about the dairy industry online 3 years ago. Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me it was the same, and most people that I know, they didn't have someone to hold their hands necessarily. Not everyone has like vegan family members and friends that can show them the way. I mean, it's not even that complicated, especially now. Yeah, like it's just another lazy excuse. Okay, next question. If I'm less than 18, can I make a chapter? As I said, unfortunately not. You just need to wait until you're 18. We did make a decision actually recently, I think it was this year or last year. We made that decision. Before that, we were allowing people that were younger than 18 to become organizers, and we realized that it would be the right decision to ask our organizers to wait until they're 18. But in terms of participating in the queue, you can just participate. There is no age limit. Your favorite food? It's very difficult to answer that one. I love pasta. I could eat pasta literally every day. So maybe that's my favorite food. If you can keep your questions as short as possible, because when they're long, I can't actually see the full question. Yeah, and also it becomes harder to answer if you're asking multiple questions in one comment. So if you can just keep it short, I would really appreciate that. Next question. Your parents agreed when you started being vegan? That's an interesting question. I was, like I said, I was 26 when I went vegan, so I wasn't a little baby. I was actually living independently as well, and I was living away from my family. I remember when I posted about me going vegan, my mom called me immediately and she was like, "Are you serious?" And I did explain to her why, and that was the only time that she had an issue with it. Like, she's convinced that it's the right thing to do, even though she's not vegan yet. But what I want to say is, I understand that some of you who are younger might struggle because they want to be vegan and their parents don't agree with it. And if you're really, really young, and you know your parents are cooking for you and they're doing the shopping, you don't have money and you can't really, I mean, again, I don't know if parents can actually force you to eat animal products. Maybe in some families they do that. But yeah, if you just explain to your parents why you decided to be vegan, if they're rational, I'm sure they can agree, they can accept it. And the thing is, again, comparing it to another form of injustice, if you come from a racist family and you say, "I don't want to be a racist like you anymore," even if they had a problem with it, because you know it's the right thing to do, you're just going to do it. Now, it becomes a little bit difficult if, like I said, you're really young, you don't cook, you don't have money, and you rely on your parents to provide you food. So in that case, you can just eat the vegan options that you have at home, so all the plant food that is available to you, or just kindly and politely ask them to buy things for you that you prefer to eat, like just simple food like potatoes and beans and fruits. But yeah, if your parents have an issue with you going vegan, regardless of how old you are, if you can just explain to them why you have made the decision, again, if they're rational, they wouldn't have a problem with it. The only problem is, I think, if they feel then guilty, and then because they don't want to deal with that guilt and the shame, they may try to force you to stay an ignorant non-vegan like them. so that you don't make them feel bad. But yeah, you shouldn't necessarily stop because your parents don't agree with it. If you are convinced that veganism is the right thing to do, regardless of what everyone else thinks, you know in your heart that that's the right decision to make, so nothing matters really. My mom was a vegetarian, but now she's vegan because of my influence. That's awesome. All right, next question. I wish I could show you guys the question section on Instagram. We've got questions from Spanish, Arabic, some languages that I don't even know what languages they are, but it's really hard to find a comment in English and also a comment that's a question that's relevant. Morgana said, in my city, Mexico City, there hasn't been a cube in months. How can I stay active? I guess that's the case for many cities around the world. Like I was saying, here in Melbourne, we haven't been doing cubes for the last few months either. If you can't do cubes, I think the best way to do activism, again, the safest way is to do activism online. So you can start a YouTube channel, you can start making videos, you can share content from other pages, like you can share AV's content, you can create posts, you can even go on like our posts on AV's Instagram and Facebook and help our social media team in responding to comments from non-vegans. You can engage in conversations with non-vegans and outreach them online basically. I think that would be the best way to stay active during this time. You look good lately, Asal. Are you saying I didn't used to? Your hair looks fabulous, thank you. Thanks, Stacy. All right, next question. Next question is, how is life being vegan? I'm curious. Life feels good and bad. It feels good being vegan because you know you're doing the right thing. You're not participating in the biggest injustice ever existed. At the same time, it's bitter because vegans are the minority still. So the majority of the population are still not vegan. There is animal cruelty literally everywhere, and you have to witness that every day as a vegan. And so it's very painful. And that's why veganism is actually the least that we can do. So veganism is a non-action. You're not actually doing anything for the animals. You're just not participating in something. And that's why it's really important as soon as you go vegan to start doing activism so that you can create more vegans. And you can choose whatever kind of activism you want to do that you think is effective for you. But yeah, that's how it feels being a vegan. Laura said, I used to be the crazy activist in my family. Now everyone's vegan. I'm not the crazy activist anymore. That's so good to hear. You veganized the whole family. The vegan donut said, can it mentally affect you if you accidentally have an animal product? I did it once and see, I can't see the rest. Can it mentally affect you? Of course. It's happened to me multiple times when I ordered food, and I usually repeat my order at least a few times, and I get them to repeat it to make sure that they know everything's vegan. But still, like, it's happened where there was a pizza and it still came out with dairy cheese. There was one time where we actually ordered a vegan pizza. This Italian restaurant that has a really good vegan menu, so they know a lot of their products are vegan, and but it's not obviously fully vegan. So we had this pizza, I can't remember what it was, but it was supposed to have vegan ham, and obviously we got it for vegan cheese. And what they did was they did put vegan cheese on it, but they actually put pig flesh on there instead of the vegan ham or bacon, whatever it was. And I didn't actually realize, because you know how nowadays these products look and smell exactly like the animal version. So I actually put in I took a bite of the pizza, and I just, as I was chewing it, I realized that, and I spat it out. And yes, I got really angry. I remember I called the place and I was yelling at them. I was really, really angry because I just felt like, well, now I don't even care about the free pizza or my money. Now this has already been made, and I can either put it in the bin, or if I send it back, you're going to do that. So yeah, it's happened to me so many times. It's happened where I got like takeaway and there was like one prawn in my vegan noodles. I don't know why and how, but it's happened to me so many times. And the only thing you can do is try to avoid it as much as possible. So you can just, like I said, just keep repeating your order, get them to repeat it if you're placing an order over the phone. Or if you're ordering online from a non-vegan restaurant, just call them and make sure that it's all vegan. If you're using Uber Eats or something, I always put vegan in the comment section, like all caps. And if you're eating at a restaurant, again, just ask them to repeat the order, but that's all you can do. It can still come out with like having some kind of animal products in it. And it's horrible. It does affect you mentally or emotionally, I guess, but I still don't think that we should boycott non-vegan restaurants and places. I think we should keep going back to them and keep ordering vegan food so that they know there is a demand, so that they don't suddenly remove those vegan options from their menu, which has happened. I've seen this, so many restaurants or cafes, they had vegan options and then after some time they removed it, or they changed it to having only one option. That means that there was no demand. And so to create the demand, we have to just keep ordering, unfortunately. Again, that's the thing with living in a non-vegan world. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. Paul said, is there any chance of getting a commercial on television about the meat and dairy industry? Would the government and networks allow it? That's a good point. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I'm sure someone has already thought about this. Someone with a lot of money, because it will cost a lot of money to have a television commercial. Yeah, I doubt that they would allow that because they will say it's graphic, but really we know that all these industries are, funding TV channels and all of that. And they work with the government, so yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I guess PETA has done this, haven't they? But their commercials are different. They're not necessarily, I don't know, the message is a bit different. Mia said, I'm really bossy when I order, it helps. Yeah, I agree. I don't care, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care if I offend that person who's taking my order. I don't care that people are standing behind me. I just want to make sure that they get it right. So yeah, I think don't feel bad for repeating your order. Don't feel bad for like asking them to repeat it. Don't feel bad for taking your time, making sure that they get it. That's all I can say. Sometimes I say I'm lactose intolerant. Yeah, that helps as well, because if you say you have an allergy, they take it more seriously. If you say you're vegan, they just don't care. When you say I have an allergy, they would actually like go out of their way to avoid that. Because if you have some kind of, if you pass out or if you're taken to the emergency or something, then they're in trouble. So they want to avoid that. But when you say I'm vegan, even if you eat it, they're just going to say, oh, we're so sorry, we're just going to give you your money back, but that's not going to fix it. All right, one last question from Instagram. Can I? I want to see the more recent questions. I have to scroll through all of these questions. What is the most effective way to spread the vegan message? Obviously, I'm going to say doing the cube, outreaching people at a cube, because you get to see the result right in front of you. You get to see someone going from non-vegan to vegan to activist in 5-10 minutes sometimes. So that to me is the most effective way of doing activism. Alright, I don't see any questions anymore that are relevant on these questions on Instagram. Alright, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for anyone that joined me for this live stream. I'll have another live stream in a few days, I think Sunday, my time, we're doing another one of those interactive workshops. I think it's Sunday morning my time, so you'll see the post on Facebook and Instagram in a couple of days, so you can find out what time zone, like what time it is for your time zone. And yeah, that's it. It sounds like a lot of the cubes are starting to operate again in a week or so. So I can't wait to see photos and videos from cubes. And we're going to be cubing in Melbourne in about 2.5 weeks. So that's really exciting. But until then, I encourage everyone to get active online and do as much as you can every day to spread the message, and also to keep practicing your outreach so that when you're back at the cube, you feel more comfortable and confident doing outreach. Thank you so much, Laura. And thanks everyone else that joined me. Take care and much love.